Now, we're a little ways through the round. Obviously, that one went to time, so we're not starting at the start. We're effectively going, let's just give everyone one game win and then just make all of these one game matches. Why not? That's essentially what the players did. We've had all 3 matches get split, and we're starting off with Jesper Box against Daniel Martinez Querol. Each of these players at 1-1. On one side of the table we have Bant Spirits, and then on the other side, Frank, what have we got?
Well, we do have Hollow One. So the idea of Hollow One is to just break discard and draw effects like for Fateless Looting by using them to fuel Delve or Gurmark Angler, boost the power of Flameblade Adept, and reduce the cost of Hollow One. Now, just using some math, you get 2 Hollow Ones or more on the battlefield on turn 1 at about 3 to 4% of the time. Unless, I guess, you're playing against Mausoleum Wanderer that just counters Fateless Looting. But in absence of any interaction, you can expect to play at least 1 Hollow One by turn 2 in about 40 to 45% of the games. So that is what this deck is trying to do.
And this is another way of making Hollow One cheaper. Street Wraith getting cycled there. Cycling does include the discard of the card, so it is another way of making Hollow One a little bit easier. So a turn 1 Hollow One without a Faceless Looting. No way that Mausoleum Wanderer can stop that. Yes, it did happen to cost Jesper Box 4 life to be able to get there. But, you know, he's also got these extra cards in hand that he's managed to cycle into, so not the end of the world for him there. And when it comes to a clock, he'll very quickly find that Hollow One hits for quite a lot more than a Mausoleum Wanderer much of the time. Rest in peace, though. This is going to be an interesting one in this matchup. These are, of course, post-sideboard games, and the Rest in Peace will mean that now the likes of Gurmag Angler is going to be very, very difficult for Jesper Box to cast.
Yes, indeed. For anyone who might be asking, wait, how much is the fish? It's going to be a whole lot of mana. Not going to be a single black, thanks to that Rest in Peace. No
discounts to the Fishmongers today. Faithless Looting as well is not going to be able to set up the likes of a Flamewake Phoenix. It's not going to be able to give Grim Lavamancer some fuel for his fire. All of these cards getting a little bit worse here. So while Rest in Peace isn't the hammer blow that it might be against, say, Dredge, it is going to impact the game plan of this deck on the left-hand side of our screen quite a bit.
Indeed, it also means that Bloodghast not going to come back from the graveyard anymore. Same for the Flamewake Phoenix. And, I mean, you also cannot use the flashback on Fateless Looting anymore. Yeah, see, they're discarding Bloodghast and Flamewake Phoenix. This could have looked quite different if not for that Rest in Peace.
Blackleaf Kiss alongside Flameblade Adapt. That one will still enjoy all of the various discards that are going on. Worth noting that Tom Dyson here on the left-hand side team has won his match against Daniel Toledo, so we won't get a chance to look in on that one, but it will very much impact the overall outcome of this round 11 match between these two 9-1 teams. 9-1, the best record of any of the teams in the room right now, and we think that it's going to work out that X and 2 is roughly the record that teams should be thinking about in terms of making the top 4. Normally, at a regular GP, you'd need 15 rounds to get to that cut, but because there are no buys at team GPs, it works out that we can get there in around 14 rounds.
Yep. Now, Tom, I know he was playing Karklan Ironworks. He's well known to be a combo player, always quite proficient with all these combo decks, and he has shown off his skills with Karklan Ironworks throughout this tournament. Danny and Jesper, an entire team from Eindhoven, also have some prior Pro Tour experience, and well, I think both teams are bringing some good team spirit to the table as well. Because as a wise man once said, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice, and that applies even more so at team events.
Collective Brutality here being pointed at the one creature on Daniel Martinez Querol's side of the battlefield with Escalate 1. And Bloodstain Mire now being used as well.
Yeah, Daniel Martinez Querol missed his third land drop over there, just passing on turn 3 without even a single play. And, well, he does have some interactive cards in Path to Exile. That is at least good news for him. But, yeah, Reflector Mage and the double Collected Company won't be cast anytime soon, not with his current configuration of lands.
2 copies of Path to Exile. I mean, actually this choice gets a little fiddlier. If there was only the one, then it probably would have been fired off in response to the Collective Brutality. But with 2 of them being there, it means that there's no way that Jesper can completely stop the notion of one of his creatures getting exiled here. It still does take the path, which I think seems to make sense based on the land situation that Daniel finds himself in. I mean, the Moorland Haunt that's in play currently is just a land that taps a colourless mana. With Rest in Peace in play, a bit of a non-bow there, it loses a little bit of its potency.
And I do like taking the path to exile there, because it does mean that there's not another path for maybe an upcoming Hollow One, or at least that Flameblade Adept that was still on the battlefield. Big draw for Daniel Martinez Querol there. The land he needed to cast Reflector Mage. And importantly, it's also a green source, which means that those collected companies in his hand may be turned on if he finds a fourth land.
Yeah, this is what he needed for the comeback. And due to the extra lines of text on Reflector Mage, we weren't going to see a Flameblade Adept coming back down that turn. Whatever gets bounced, you can't play it for one turn following the Reflector Mage having done his thing. And here's another Mausoleum Wanderer for Querol. So this is starting to look pretty good. Both these players at 11 life, but the board very much favouring Daniel here.
I think Jesper just drew Hollow One. We might actually be seeing the 5 mana version of it being cast here.
5 mana 4/4. Yeah. You know, you'll play it in limited, but you're not excited about it.
You know, honestly, I would often cut it from my draft decks. This playable, but not great, and especially in a high-powered format like Modern, it is not what the deck is designed to do. But I guess it's better than nothing.
But I mean, we were talking about this between rounds. We've seen a lot of decks that have had to roll with the punches a little bit, do things that maybe weren't in the playbook for the deck, not in the plan. But you know what? That's kind of one of the things that I love about Modern, is that sometimes you just get put in these situations where two powerful decks interact in a weird way, and you just have to work with what you got.
Yeah, in the previous match we saw Golgari Thug beat down. I think that's another good example. But indeed, that's in a format with 15 years of cards, you get enough weird interactions that force many decks to go to plan B or plan C or even plan D.
Okay, here's Flameblade Adept coming back down. Hollow One there already in play also, but we're now hitting the phase of the game where we're going to start seeing Collected Company get cast back-to-back turns by Daniel Martinez Querol.
Yeah, the fourth land that he drew was Seachrome Coast, which meant that he couldn't cast Collected Company immediately, but now he has access to it. And yeah, Jesper also knows that they are coming up, given that he looked at the hand with Collective Brutality earlier.
Now, I'm not sure that there's much incentive to hold back on these collected companies here. You look to be in a bit of a racing situation, and finding either a Lord or a Reflector Mage will help that clock quite a bit.
There's also Spell Queller, so if you just wait until Jesper casts a spell, you can respond, and if you find Spell Queller in the top 6, you get some extra value by waiting with the Collected Company.
I mean, especially with the Collective Brutality being cast, now is the time to try and get things going here. 6 cards off the top, looking for a couple of creatures that cost 3 or less. All of the creatures in Daniel's deck are likely to cost 3 or less, so that element of it relatively straightforward.
Yeah, and there are also more than enough in them to have a very high likelihood of hitting 2 creatures in your top 6. These are not bad. It's Night of Autumn, a new addition from Guilds of Ravnica that does a whole lot of things, including, well, destroying Hollow One when it enters the battlefield.
So Mausoleum Wanderer now being sacrificed, meaning it'll cost 2 more mana to be able to get that Collective Brutality to resolve, because ultimately there has been another spirit coming into play. That Mausoleum Wanderer has grown just a little bit. So Jesper pays the 2. And there are multiple targets on Collective Brutality, I believe, which means that the element of getting a card out of Danny's hand will still work. If that was in fact the mode that he went with there. I believe that that's the wording on Collective Brutality, right?
It's not entirely clear to me what the mode chosen was, but if it was target opponent reveals their hand and you choose an instant or sorcery card from it, discard it, then yeah, well, that Collective Brutality should resolve after paying for the Mausoleum Wanderer. Maybe there was some I don't know, communication difficulties there.
This is a time walked match, so it's not one where unfortunately we can kind of stop things and ask judges to step in to make sure that it's all tickety-boo, but things will continue nonetheless.
Okay, it looked like he used the drain mode.
Okay.
And for those of you wondering, why does it say cycled or discard on a card like Flameblade Adept, given that cycle already discards it? That is true, but this was just worded this way to add some clarity for beginning players who might not immediately realize that. There's also no harm in putting that extra text on there.
Yeah, it kind of works out that on common cards with cycling, it has the full text of what cycling is. Cycling to discard this card, draw a card, and so in principle it'd be easy for new players to piece it together with most commons, but sometimes rares have a lot of text on them and they'll just say cycling too, and they won't detail what cycling is, and at that point it does become a little bit easier to just lose track of what's going on here. So a lightning bolt and a goblin lore going on here. So
with that lightning bolt, Daniel Martinez Quirrell is virtually at 2 life. This was also the game plan that Jesper was on. He felt that he wouldn't be able to realistically get in for much damage with his creatures anymore, so just go for the burn plan with Collective Brutality and Lightning Bolt.
It's going to be close. I mean, the way that things are going to work out here, we're likely to see that burn from Jesper to put Daniel almost dead, but on the other side of things, Daniel has the potential to get some real beatdown going here with the likes of Collected Company, and also there's a die down the bottom of the screen there, and I would venture to suggest that that die may represent the number of turns left in this game.
It could easily be that time is called. Meanwhile, Jose Luis Velasquez has won his match, so this is the decider.
Rattle Chains and Supreme Phantom coming down, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of damage coming through. It may be that Daniel isn't going to be able to find enough damage here to be able to kill Jesper.
Generally, 1 time is called on the round. There's 5 additional turns split between the 2 players.
Yeah, this is going to be very close indeed. It's, as things stand on the table, if this is turn 3, then Daniel's going to need a little bit of help in terms of an additional Lord somewhere in the mix in order to get up to the 9 damage that he needs.
And I think Jesper is now discussing with his teammates what to do with Lightning Bolt potentially, right? Whether to kill some of the opposing creatures, or hold it in an attempt to burn Daniel and actually win the game.
I mean, it feels to me like within the Lightning Bolt play, he's got a win line and a don't lose line, and at X1, I don't know how valuable the draw is. Yeah, this is going to be very, very tight indeed, and a lot of it's going to come down to exactly what Daniel Martinez has drawn here. He activates his Horizon Canopy to draw an additional card. 3 mana ought to be enough to play any of his key spirits, and with Rattle Chains, his key spirits can be played with Flash. So a big swing coming in here.
Not lethal this turn yet, but definitely lethal on the next.
Okay, so it looks like that 3 at the bottom there can't be the turn count because it's not been turned around at any point here. So that means that the situation that Daniel finds himself in, very good indeed, and a spell queller to stop a lightning bolt means that this should almost certainly be the game. Here's a Goblin Lore. This is a desperation Goblin Lore at this point from Jesper Box, trying to find a way of getting out of the situation that he finds himself in.
He's already preparing to mountains for the double lightning bolt that he hopes to be left with, but that likelihood is pretty small.
All right, let's spin the wheel, says Jesper Box. Those 3 cards going away. Let's see what they were. Let's have a look at what you could have won. None of them were going to be particularly relevant. We won't worry too much about them.
Is there double bolt? Maybe bolt Collective Brutality? If not, it's going to be game over for Jesper Box.
He had the opportunity to just flip him there and have it be super exciting. He did not go with that. Instead, what have we here? It's a Faithless Looting. Let's try again. Not so much red mana to work with anymore. There's the handshake. Daniel Martinez Quirrell, Jose Luis Velasquez, Daniel Toledo. Big, big win for them there, advancing to 10-1. And I tell you what, 10-1, a fantastic position to be in at this stage in the tournament. 11 rounds down. we are, as you can probably tell by the little roll in there, we are fast approaching the very end of this round. There will be more magic, of course, soon with Riley and Raf as we hit the next round of this tournament. But for now, from me, Tim Willoughby, from this guy, Frank Carsten, it's goodbye. See you again soon.